Hey guys, and welcome to your 2-Minute Money Manager. I'm your host, Stacey Johnson, and this answer is brought to you by MoneyTalksNews.com, serving up the best in personal finance news and advice since 1991. Let's see who wrote us today. Today's question comes from Steven. Steven says, are there any scams where you win a product, pay shipping and handling, but in every case they want your credit card? I enter lots of contests, and when I ask if they take the checks for shipping and handling, they all say no. They all want his credit card. Oh my God. I'm so glad you contacted me, Stephen, because this reminds me of the saddest story that I ever covered. You know, I've been a consumer reporter on TV for nearly 30 years. So I've covered lots of really sad stories, you guys. Consumers being ripped off, overcharged, ignored, cheated, foreclosed, you name it. But the saddest story I ever personally witnessed occurred back in 2013. It involved an 82-year-old woman. Her name was Rita. And I'll guarantee you have met people just like her. She was a tiny, kind old woman. She had a sparkle in her eyes and that permanent smile on her face. You know, she's the kind of person who offers cookies and milk to every visitor. The grandma you either had yourself or wished you'd had. But anyway, here's something from the story we did at the time. This is like a cut and paste from the script. Rita was getting phone calls. The callers were telling Rita she'd won a big sweepstakes and would soon be receiving 2 new cars. All she had to do was send a little cash to cover the taxes and the handling fees. Rita complied, and then she waited. Several weeks later, another call. After one more small fee, her cars would be arriving. Now, anticipating the photographers she was told were going to be there, she goes to the hair salon. She gets her hair done, her makeup. She bought her new outfit. She even had a professional photograph of her own taken to remember the day. As you may have guessed, the cars never showed up. But what did show up? More calls. Lots more calls. Hundreds more calls. Sometimes dozens in a single day. When my crew and I arrived at Rita's home that day back in 2013 to shoot her story, the phone was ringing and it never stopped. In fact, the only way to get through the interview with her or the postal inspectors, who were also there trying to help her, was to unplug her phone. I'm not kidding you. The phone was ringing nonstop. Every single caller, a Jamaican scam artist demanding money so they could deliver the prizes that she had won. Her trash can overflowing with offers. She'd lost all of her savings, guys. She'd even mortgaged her home. She'd paid tens of thousands in phony prize scam fees. She was completely destitute. A ton of scam artists had Rita's number. Why did they all have her number? Because after she fell for that first prize, that first fake prize offer, her information was likely sold to other scammers. Ultimately, so many of these scammers reached out that the mail and the phone calls never stopped. We even taped postal inspectors. They answered Rita's phone. They said, "We're United States postal inspectors. We're going to arrest you." I mean, they were screaming at them. And you know what the scammers did? They just hung up. They just called back later. They weren't afraid of U.S. cops because they weren't in the United States. Now, the factors behind this nightmare scenario are all too common. First, Rita wasn't used to a world with so much blatant deceit. Next, she was a little confused. Now, she wasn't senile. She knew where she was. She knew enough to take care of herself. She lived alone. But until her money was totally gone, she just couldn't seem to grasp that criminals were bleeding her dry. And finally, Rita was the ideal victim because she had no one to help her. Her family lived far away. Her one local friend did what he could to help her. That's how the postal inspectors found her, and that's how I found her too. The postal inspectors were doing everything they could to help her, but they couldn't arrest people in Jamaica, and they couldn't seem to convince Rita to stop entering sweepstakes, answering calls, or sending people money. So Rita's story, it's an example of why reporters like me and agencies like the Federal Trade Commission urge people not to enter any contest that requires paying to claim a prize. Here's some language directly from the FTC's website. I cut and pasted it. Although there are some legitimate contests, remember, there are a lot of scams. Here are a few ways to spot a prize scam. 1. Scammers ask you to pay before you can claim your prize. 2. Scammers ask you to wire money to ensure delivery of your prize. 3. Scammers send you a check and ask you to send some of the money back. Now, this is pretty black and white, folks. Do not pay to win a prize. Now, here at Money Talks News, we periodically run sweepstakes. We do that to boost our subscriber base. But we've never asked anyone to pay anything to enter a sweepstakes of ours or to win it. We even pay for the stamp we use to mail the winner their check. So now it's time, now that you understand how this works, it's time for you to help other people. Because whether you know it or not, there is a Rita living near you. They could be a member of your family. They could be a friend. They could be a neighbor. So don't sit idly by while they lose their life savings to scum-sucking vermin. You forward them this story or this video, or better yet, reach out to them. Let them know you're around. Let them know that you're there to help if they ever need you. Won't cost you a thing. And let me tell you something, it's going to mean everything to them. Bottom line, if Money Talks News can give money away without asking for any, so can every other business in the world. So when it comes to paying to win, Stephen, Rita, everyone else, just say no. No to a check. No to a wire transfer. No to a credit card. No to a scam. Now, I hope that answers your question, Stephen. I'm going to see you all right here next time.